That's the story of Bert's floppy arm.
That is the story. I need to cool down after that.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome all.
Boys, girls, and all else betwixt to Big Damn Cast.
Yes.
I am Christopher. I can't feel my knees anymore, Johnson.
And I'm Matthew. I've got a skewer and that's why. Watson.
Dirty that.
Yes.
We got some stuff to talk about
We
this
have got some
week
stuff to
in
talk
our
about this
podcast, our pop culture podcast of nonsense and waffles.
It's going to be a packed week.
A lot happened.
A lot happened, and the first thing we have to talk about is, sadly, the passing of a legend, an absolute titan of pop culture.
The godfather of modern mythology.
Yeah. The 12th of November, 2018, Stan Lee passed away at the grand old age of 95 years old.
In the words of Kevin Smith and Ralph Garman, that's a big bucket of win.
That is a big old bucket of win. And we're talking about a man who had one of the most creatively fruitful careers. But not until he was like in his 40s. He didn't create Spider-Man until he was 39.
Yeah, and even then I don't think he got him published until he was in his 40s.
No.
Spidey was one he battled for a few years to try and get in. And then he one day got past Martin Goodman on his wife Joan's advice, on his late wife Joni's advice of, well, you want to do it? Like, you've got this adult fantasy book that's being cancelled, just put it in there. Just do it. And he did. And it was like the best character ever.
I cannot say that I am not saddened, because I am. I kind of steeled myself for this since Joan Lee died.
Yeah, which is
it's a
couple of years last year,
early
last year or year before. Yeah, so it's quite a lot. Yeah,
it's a fairly common thing for if a couple that have been married that long, when one of them dies, the other follows within a couple of years, if not sooner. So
especially in the age as well. Like...
And he's not been in great health this last year or so, and he was 95 for fuck's sake. Like, the guy was.
I mean, this last year alone, he's been battling. He's been battling probably more than he ever has done in his life, and the guy served in World War II.
Yeah,
I would argue that he faced possibly greater personal challenges this last year or so than he ever had before, with stuff that I imagine will probably become a bit more clear in the coming months. Finally, but we talked previously about the scandals involving
elder abuse with his daughter.
Yeah, well, it's all alleged because it's up in the air based on his statements now. But it's people he worked with, rights retention, sort of the ownership of his image and stuff being stolen and misused. The fact that his daughter may have been involved. The fact that one of his attorneys may have been involved. The fact that a convention person and a collector who he worked with was definitely involved in some way. That's the K.R. Morgan angle. Like, there's some dodgy shit's been happening since his wife passed away, and he's been fighting. But as recently as about 2-3 months ago, he got back control of his social media, at least through people he was happy to post with. And whoever's been posting for him, some of it's links to his website, which is a bit... because his website is, again, just a comic book news site that's run by other people. But some of it was videos from Stan responding to tweets. So they'd sit down and film with him. And you got the sense that he was, regardless of whatever was happening there, he was very happy to communicate with his audience again directly.
Yeah, I think so.
He had been participating in some Marvel events this year. I think the last big premiere he went to was... I think he was at Ant-Man and the Wasp. I believe so. He was definitely at Infinity War. Because Infinity War was the first premiere where he did the red carpet interviews and everything in his mobility scooter, which he'd been using for the last year or so just to take the weight off while he was walking around everywhere.
The guy did a lot.
Yeah,
he did an awful lot.
So he was, and he's been active, obviously still within the films because he's very much a marquee executive producer.
Yeah,
but they do get him in, or did get him in for advisory stuff and everything, and consultations.
You want Stan on your team?
Yeah, and he was just. So he was active. A lot of people pointing out online his last cameos in Teen Titans Go.
Yeah.
To the movies. I think it's actually in Venom, but I'm glad that's sort of being mistakenly reported. Although, still to come.
Oh, God.
Oh, hello. It's like Twitter moments now, just play videos at the top, aren't they? It's really stupid. But no, it looks like he's going to be appearing in Into the Spider-Verse, and some people who've seen early screenings of that say that cameo is wonderful and very poignant. So it's not just a throwaway like comedy moment. So it's like, oh, that's good. Because his cameo in Spider-Man PS4 was quite poignant as well.
Yes.
Like, he pops up in that as a short order cook, just for a line. And for a character that appears for one moment on screen, they put all the work in to make it look exactly like him. Like, everything right down to, like, the freaking freckles. Like, it's him. And it's really cute. It's been confirmed that he filmed something for Captain Marvel, but no word on if it's going to be used, but I imagine it will be.
Yeah.
And he definitely filmed something for the next Avengers.
Because that was all shot back to back anyway.
Yeah, which will be used as well. And Kevin Feige has confirmed since Monday that they have filmed several other things with Stan for planned use, and they don't expect to not use it because it wouldn't be right to leave him out.
Yeah,
I think in terms of the Marvel Cinematic Universe tie-in of Stan, you could continue his appearances the way that Deadpool 2 did, and the way that the Netflix shows do. You can have him just be within
stuff,
artwork and stuff. Like, you can always be there.
I imagine they will, because
in Deadpool 2, that cameo is great.
Yeah.
Just fucking giant mural on the wall as Domino's parachuting into the street. It's like, oh my god, how did I miss that the first time? It's huge.
It's just, they're gonna always honour the legacy of Stan Lee, because, alright, there's a little contention about how much credit he actually deserves for some of the early work that was done with these characters, but there's no doubt he had a hand in it, certainly.
And I don't think he was ever intentionally selfish with the credit. He just didn't highlight or give as much credence at the time.
I don't know,
to his peers.
Yeah.
But the only reason I feel that's the case is because on Monday when we found out, like, Lou and I were planning to watch something or other, and I was like, "Do you mind if we watch something else instead?" And I grabbed off my shelf a DVD I've had since 2002, which is it's over there with the Kevin Smith stuff. Because it's from the same period as the first Evening With release. It's Stan Lee's Mutants, Monsters and Marvels, which was advertised on I think Spider-Man DVD in 2002 and a few others.
Yeah.
It's a 2-part documentary. And by documentary, I just mean an interview. It's Stan sat in a comic book shop in LA with Kevin Smith, who at this point is not a stoner and doesn't say much. Like, so it's really weird.
Well, you're in a room with Stan Lee, you don't say much, do you?
No, but like when you listen to him do Fat Man on Batman with him a few years ago, for example, the two of them are giddy as geese. I mean, they're just like chatting away with each other, and they clearly really enjoy each other's company. There's a bit in this, the DVD extras, where they just the documentary guys, when they go to his home, just go to the side with Joan for a bit and just have a chat with her.
Yeah,
and she brings up briefly about Kevin. She says whenever like Stan reads about Kevin in something, whenever he sees his name mentioned, he's like, hey, that's my friend Kevin. And it's like, oh my god, that's freaking heartwarming. Like, he's really excited for him, and Joan thinks that Mallrats is wonderful and very underappreciated, and not just because my husband's cameo in it is so good. So it's like, oh my god, these guys really adored him. But yeah, the Stan Lee's Mutants, Monsters and Marvels is it's a 2-part sit down interview documentary thing. The first half of it is entirely about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because it was a Columbia TriStar release ahead of Spider-Man coming out. And they talk a lot about the upcoming Spider-Man movie, which is a weird world to dip into. And the second half is about the other characters and his hand in Timely becoming Marvel and everything.
Yeah.
And they make a distinction in it. He talks about, he really bigs up Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko and like all these people who worked with at the time. He really bigs them up in the documentary.
Yeah.
Talk about how amazing they were. And at the very end of the Spider-Man half, at the end of the credits, there is a caption that comes up that says, Stan would like to acknowledge the incredible hard work and collaborative efforts of the teams that helped him to co-create the various Marvel icons. And it's like, so someone has gone out of their way there, possibly him, to be like, can you please stress that it's not just me?
Yeah.
Like, it's not just me. And you, especially when he got his Disney Hall of Fame, Disney Legends, whatever it's called, award a couple of years ago. Last year, because it was after Joni had passed. It was like a few weeks later, and it was like, is he going to show up? And yes, he did, and he said a piece about Joni.
Because he's Stan. He was Stan.
He spent most of his time, because it was awarded to him by, I think it's Jack Kirby's son.
I think so.
Was the one who awarded it to him. And he spends most of his time on stage, his acceptance speech, talking about Jack. So I get the sense that if it wasn't out of his hands back then, the credit thing, he definitely at least regrets that it wasn't more of an equal playing field.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a lot of the public perception of him being the head honcho is very much down to what do you call it? It's very much down to Stan's soapbox.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was the editor and the writer who spoke directly to the readers. Like he was the first one to really do that, to have the letters pages, and he responds to all of them. And then there's a monthly address in every comic book that goes out to the readers on a topic.
Yeah, the bullpen bulletins from the 80s and 90s.
And the Marvel Merry Marching Society and things like this. Like just starting up the proper idea of fan clubs and fan interactions. Because that was the only reason Timely Comics was, it was fine. It was ticking along. It was doing its thing. Stan was a staff writer with them, working on bits and pieces. And the only reason it sort of got bigger is because he was like, I want to try this. I want to try that. I think that the start of the Marvel Universe, because it's definitely something he had a massive hand in creating.
Well, yeah. Him and Jack Kirby created most of that wholesale.
But the kickstart, like the fuse on the dynamite is Martin Goodman, the publisher at the time, the editor, going, that Justice League book's selling really well.
Yeah.
We don't do superheroes because the Comics Code stuff and all that shite that went on.
Yeah.
Essentially wiped out superheroes, and Marvel Timely then stopped doing theirs, and other companies stopped doing theirs, and DC carried on doing Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman.
Yeah,
and that's when you get the 50s when everything's really stupid, outlandish sci-fi plots that don't make any sense.
Buy war bonds,
and it's oh my god, my zebra bat suit and shit like that. And the Joker goes from being this kind of sinister murderer to complete wacky clown who's just like, I'm going to paint the town green.
He's pulling boners all the time.
He's always pulling his boners. If you don't like his boner, he's going to show you the biggest boner he's ever pulled. And that's when that era comes around, and you've got all the covers of The World's Finest where Superman and Batman and Robin are playing baseball and grinning from ear to ear, and suddenly nearly all of Wonder Woman's plots are about a monster mind controlling her to be his wife and things like that. You're just like, what is this? Like, where has the stuff that made this cool gone?
Superman, I quote, slapping a Jap.
Yeah. That era. So the Comics Code kind of really ruins it. It was the twat behind that, Frederick Wortham. Yeah, because he wrote the book called Seduction of the Innocent.
Yeah, that one.
And it was like Robin and Batman are living out a homosexual fantasy and all this stuff, and this is wrong. What? And it's like,
they are living out a homosexual fantasy.
Let them live it.
They're living out my homosexual fantasy, and I want to see it represented on film with the next Batman movie.
I want to be the teen ward of a sexy millionaire.
I want to see the story of the super masculine leather daddy and his twink boyfriend who fight crime.
John Hamm and Taron Egerton present.
I'd watch it.
Daddy and Robin.
Daddy and Robin. Oh, yes, please.
Oh god. So there's that, but like that really sort of set off. The Comics Code comes in, and suddenly the strict restrictions, and superheroes are pretty much canned and killed off, and it's not happening. And then DC starts to introduce some more. They start to get brave. They reintroduce the Flash. They bring the Flash back. And they create characters like Martian Manhunter. And then they do Justice League. And Martin Goodman and Marvel go, we want that money. We want that kind of money. Stan, you, stop writing the cowboy and the romance books.
Build me an army worthy of Marvel.
Yeah, because Stan was writing like the romance novels and the westerns and stuff. And he always his one dream, and I believe he still feels he never did it, but it wasn't like a regret. His one dream was to write the great American novel.
Yeah, whatever that means.
Well, because he was Mark Twain was his biggest inspiration.
He wanted to be a novelist.
And I would say that he did much more than that.
He ended up creating an entire mythology, a modern mythology for the Americas.
So he goes, right, well, do you want me to do that? And he's like, yeah, do a team of superheroes. That's what sells. Because this is what the editors were like at this point. They were that on the nose. Do a team of superheroes. That's what's going to sell. Stan's like, we don't have any, and you won't let me bring back the old ones to play with.
Yeah.
And he's like, just do a team of superheroes. So Stan did what he thought would be more interesting. He did a family of superheroes.
Yes.
And he does the Fantastic Four. And Martin says he doesn't like some of the ideas. And Stan threatens to leave. And for the first time in a long list of instances where this is how it went, Joan Lee went, well, just do it how you want to do it anyway. And if he fires you, it doesn't matter. You wanted to leave. So he did. And Fantastic Four issue 1 goes out. And within 3 months, they are flooded with fan mail. Which they'd never had before, fan mail to this company. So Stan, what else you got? All right, freaking. spend the next 3 years working with Jack and Steve, and let's bash out Doctor Strange, the Hulk, Iron Man, the Mighty Thor, the Amazing Spider-Man, the Uncanny X-Men. And then, to top that shit all off, he finally brings back characters from Marvel's past. He's like, you know that Captain America that was really successful in World War II? Let's tell stories about him. Yeah, well, he's war propaganda. All right, well, let's tell the stories about a war mascot out of time. Let's pretend he's been frozen since the war.
Let's get some of our...
Hey, Cap, you've been frozen for just under 20 years. Like, let's see what happens when we thaw you out.
Justice League, get some of our characters who've had their own books or stories in some of our anthology books and put them into one team.
You like that Ant-Man guy in Tales to Astonish? Well, he's on the team now.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to do it. Screw it.
We got Hulk. We got Ant-Man, we got the Wasp, we got Thor, we got Iron Man.
Who are they going to fight? One of our heroes is a literal god, and most of his enemies are also gods. I think one of his bad guys will be fine as a first villain for the team to have to get together to face.
Loki will be fine.
Oh, not only that, he's going to control the Hulk. So, I think that's more than enough reason for this team to forge.
And also the Team Brigade are here.
Yeah.
Rick Jones, eternal sidekick.
God. Dress as Bucky. I
like. Oh, it's another game
fantasy. I really like this Fantastic Four book, Stan. What you want to do next? I'm bringing back Namor. What? Yes.
That happens really early on in Fantastic Four.
It's like issue 4? Yeah. Like, he's in there. But again, that's Stan going, we have an amazing character here. Like, I've already repurposed the Human Torch. And then later on, we're going to acknowledge that Human Torch definitely existed as well.
Oh, yeah.
And Johnny has named himself after him. And it's like, oh my god! Like, he went back and he used the stuff that already was there for Timely.
Oh, yeah.
And used it to expand the universe they were creating. Amazing. Then he becomes editor-in-chief, and you get the Marvel method, where Stan was working on so many books that he basically just went, right, here's my ideas, to my artist, here's my ideas. What ideas have you got? Great, right, we're doing that one. Right, we'll do this one. We'll do that one. Just do it. It's roughly this. Here's 10 bullet points. It's that. Give it to me later, and I'll fill in the dialogue.
You draw it, I'll put the words in.
And based on the relationship with the artist, it was either a case of the artist would then go, okay, map it out, and then Stan would flesh that story out completely. Mm-hmm. Or, in the case of like Kirby would pretty much just write the story, and then Stan would like physically write it and do the dialogue and stuff. And some criticise that and stuff, but like he later on went to say that it was economical.
Yeah.
Because it meant that he didn't have like Jack, for example. Jack was doing so many books at one point.
It was like 11 books or more. Ridiculous. Like
then the Marvel method kicks in proper, and Jack's only doing like sort of 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Because Stan was giving work to more artists. Yep. To do it this way, it meant more people could be working for the company.
Yeah.
And then he could be like, right, go do your thing, and then I will fill it in. I'll fill it in, and I'll do that. And it's sort of like, I think it depends on your opinion. I think it's both lazy and inspired.
Yeah.
Because it worked. I mean, look at the amount of books they were then churning out. The amount of people in their employ. And it's just like, well done, guys. Well done. And then it goes on from there. Stan's later efforts, like, they definitely weren't small or anything, but stuff like Stan Lee's first media companies and then like Power Entertainment and everything, they didn't necessarily break the mold or shatter the pop culture world.
No.
But it was a man well past the age he needed to do this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Still making things.
It's all
and still employing people. The best thing Pow ever did, weirdly, was Stan's rants.
Yeah.
When he worked with them in their offices in the 2000s, and once a week they'd just post a video of Stan chatting on about something. It was great. It was like, this is fun. It was Stan's soapbox, but with a sort of mock angry kind of facade. Since his passing this week, a lot of people have been digging up scans of Stan's soapbox articles.
Oh, yeah. They're great.
They're brilliant, and it shows a very strict stance against specifically racism, bigotry, and intolerance toward your fellow man without reason. In one of them, he says, like, sure, you can be bugged by someone, but to hate an entire race or an entire gender because you just do, is to hate people you've never met, is to hate people who could be your brother, your sister, your friend. Like, it's a stupid thing to do. Why would you do it? and it needs to be. He basically says the best way to combat evils in this world is to shine a light on them.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, yeah, okay. Like, highlight what's wrong. Just show them for what they are. And those who, like, have, you know, sort of goodness in them will see the error of their ways, or at least see what they're doing to other people and rethink what they're doing. And others won't. But that's fine, because you'll know who's who, and you'll be able to, like, you know, I'm not going to waste my time arguing with this person. They're never going to change. So I'm going to spend more time with the people who I love and who love me back. And...
I've just been sent a little anecdote here. My girlfriend's just messaged this screen cap to me. A little Stanley anecdote for you.
Oh shit, go on.
And I think then we should move on, but this is a nice little anecdote to finish our Stanley, because this is going to come up in emails. We're going to talk about Stanley more in emails as well. This is someone who shared a post on Facebook, and this post is saying, I was 12, I was naive, I mailed 3/4 to Marvel Comics with a request for 3 annuals. The local drugstore didn't carry 25-cent annuals, only 12-cent regular comic books. Marvel returned my quarters and said I should send a check on money order after July. I was crushed and wrote Stan Lee that I was afraid Marvel would run out of annuals if I waited to order after July. And Stan Lee came through. The 1964 Marvel annuals, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man and Marvel Tales, were mine. And attached is the letter that Stan sent back. July 2nd, 1964. It says, and it's on Marvel Comics Group headed paper. Yeah. With the Fantastic Four down one side.
Oh god, yeah, that's really cool.
And it's typed up. It says, Dear Mark, someone around here is going to be fed to the manta rays for what you, our true fan, have been forced to endure. My grandfather used to tell me stories of how subscription departments could tangle themselves up, but I never really believed them until now. If a fan is interested enough in our comics to send in his money, he's entitled to get them. Not in a month, not after July 30th, pronto. Any reader who has taken as much bureaucratic tomfoolery as you have and remained calm and polite about it deserves some kind of a reward. So we're sending you, free of charge, the 3 annuals you originally requested. We hope you enjoy them, and we pledge this idiocy will not continue. Sincerely, Stan Lee, editor.
Oh my god, that's wonderful.
Stan, the man, Lee.
Freaking smiling Stan. Captain Excelsior. In an upcoming episode, you're going to hear us butcher his catchphrases. Last week we pre-recorded a future episode, and jokingly in it we talk about Stan Lee's catchphrase based on a quiz question. Spoiler alert from an upcoming Big Damn Cast.
Yes.
But we take the mick and we come up with fake catchphrases and stuff. And we had a laugh doing that.
Yes.
But I think it would only feel right, of course, this week to not break the time-space continuum by quoting our future selves.
No. But that's in an upcoming episode, but so just be aware of that.
But I think it's worth saying that the guy introduced Nuff said. Make mine Marvel.
Make mine Marvel.
Amongst many, many others, but most importantly, Excelsior. Ever onwards and upwards.
Oh, man.
Oh, dude.
Let's talk about... Oh, I could talk about Stanley all day,
I know,
but we can't.
I know.
We've got other things to talk about.
Favourite cameo?
Because
that's the thing, there'll be a whole generation of people who just know him as the king of cameos. There'll be a generation of people who know him as that guy who pops up in films.
You know, it's Tony Stank.
Is there a package for Mr. Tony Stank?
Yes.
Pretty damn great.
This is Tony Stank.
That's pretty damn great. I do like his Ant-Man and the Wasp one. The well, the 60s were a lot of fun, but now I'm paying for it.
Yes.
Although him challenging Thor, like saying that he won't be able to handle Asgardian ale.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's like, I did whatever in World War II. Like, you think I handle this? And then he's just absolutely destroyed. He's been carried out. And he just goes, Excelsior. And he's just like, oh, this is great. That one's pretty fun.
Oh,
Amazing Spider-Man will take a beating as well. That's quite a good one.
Oh, that's brilliant. It's the best bit of that entire series of films.
It's just like a librarian, headphones on,
Yeah.
listening to classical music, sorting books in the foreground while the Spider-Man and the Lizard beat the shit out of each other in the background.
Good. Very, very good.
It's pretty fun. Oh, we'll miss you, Stan.
We will miss you, Stan.
Oh, bloody hell. Have everyone raise a glass of Asgardian ale.
Yes.
In tribute.
Yes. Let's clink. Hey. So,
This whiskey is delicious.
Some good...
It tastes like water.
Some good news happened this week. We got the first trailer for Toy Story 4.
We did. Well, we got 2 teaser trailers back to back.
I've not seen the second one.
The second one is it's very brief. It's just 2. I'm going to pull up the characters' names now, but it's just 2 characters interacting on a stall at a carnival. They're two plushies called... Where are you, my little fellas? Called Ducky and Bunny, voiced by Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele, respectively.
Sure, of course.
And they're great. And the teaser trailer includes the phrase... the teaser trailer includes the phrase "to infinity and your mom," and it isn't offensive. It's really funny and charming.
Good.
But the day before that, on Monday, we did indeed get the teaser trailer for Toy Story 4 and the official synopsis.
Yes.
For Toy Story 4. And the release date. And we knew it was next year, but now we know it is slap bang in the middle of summer next year. So...
It's going to make all the money.
What happened in the teaser trailer, man?
Joni Mitchell's Both Sides Now is playing as the toys, hand in hand, careen in slow motion and joy and dancing. And then all of a sudden, a makeshift spoon man, spork man, appears and starts to panic because he's not a toy!
Well, of course he's not a toy. He's
I
a
don't belong
sporkman.
here.
He's a sporkman. Captain Sporkman. Yeah, this is new character Forky, voiced by Parks and Rec's Tony Hale. And who's absolutely wonderful. I absolutely fell in love with him in Lemony Snicket last year as Mr. Squalor. He was really good. But it turns out the plot of Toy Story 4...
Because originally it was announced that it was going to be about Bo Peep.
Yeah, trying to find Bo Peep.
Yeah.
Which is a wonderfully poignant and sad moment in Toy Story 3.
When she's not there, yeah.
Yeah, because you realize you suddenly remember. Oh yeah, Bo Peep was like a sort of a lamp ornament owned by Andy's sister. So if Andy's sister gets rid of that ornament,
no, it was owned by Andy originally.
Was it his originally?
Yeah.
Well, no, I know he played with her. He used her in the thing, but she was from Thingy's room.
Oh, I see.
So it's like, oh, okay, yeah, of course. If the sister gets rid of it, then oh, all right. And so there's that very brief moment at the start of Toy Story 3 where you suddenly realise, oh yeah, Bo Peep's not there, and you see that Woody's really upset about it, and you're like, oh god. So when we heard that, I was like, oh cool, yeah, that'd be a pretty nice plot.
Well, Annie Potts is billed as Bo Peep.
Oh,
as Bo Peep, so
she must be in there. So maybe that plot is in there then. Maybe that's the subplot.
Maybe.
I didn't realise it was Annie Potts, but now you've said it. Of course, it's Annie Potts. Oh my god! Of course it is.
And of course, you got Joan Cusack, Tim Allen returning. Jordan Peele is a new addition, of course. Kristen Charles returning as Trixie.
Yay!
So it's set post Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
Not as we originally had to believe an interquel.
Yeah, it's definitely 4, and it's definitely about Bonnie, the new owner of the toys from Toy Story 3. The director said that the original Toy Story movies are very much have a big drive on purpose. Yeah. And how if you have a duty, you should do it because it's beneficial and it's selfless and it's it's very toys are toys and a toy's job is to be with their kid and make their kid happy. What happens if you're not a toy? What happens if you've been dragged into it? What happens if suddenly a piece of cutlery, say a spork, is made into a toy via arts and crafts?
Yes.
And then is suddenly part of the toys
that
the kid is playing with? What if that piece of cutlery knows that it's not meant to be doing this and is torn between its original purpose and its new purpose? I really hope they don't go too in-depth into, hang on, what's the logic behind this? I really hope they don't go that far. Yeah. Because that would ruin it slightly. The magic of Toy Story is the idea that, especially when you're a kid, and I don't know about you, because you would have been 95, you'd have been 7?
Yes.
When the first one came out, so you would have... You might probably not have felt the same way.
I saw the first one in the cinema.
I was 4, so when I saw it, as far as I was concerned, when I left the room, those toys were alive.
Oh, yeah.
Those toys were hanging out with each other and talking and going on adventures.
Yes.
I really don't want them to spoil the basic magic of that by going into an explanation. That being said, fucking kudos to them for going this weird and existential with it. I love that. It's so odd. It's so odd.
Yeah.
So I was reluctant about this because I was like, Toy Story 3 is the perfect closer. Well, this isn't continuing that story, really.
Only in so much as that it is continuing.
Yeah.
The story of Woody and Buzz and Jessie and.
But it sort of feels like now separated from Andy.
Yeah.
Those three belong to their own little thing, and now we can just carry on. If we want to carry on, we can carry on with other stories.
We've had the shorts as well.
The shorts have been wonderful. Seen the Rex's one?
I've not seen any of them.
There's one in the bathtub where all the bath toys are having a party, and it's just mental. There's a literal bit where like the squid thing or whatever just bobs down, just goes, "What up, fishes?" And just like starts setting off bubble poppers, and it's like it's mental. It's really really fun. But yeah, it's. I mean. Is Michael Keaton back as Ken? Because that'd be nice.
Toy Story more. He's not on IMDb, but
yeah,
Jodie Benson is returning as Barbie though.
Of course, Jodie Benson.
According to IMDb.
When are they going to crack and make a Little Mermaid reference? That's what I want to know.
Quite. Probably soon because Disney are getting ever so meta.
Yes.
So we've got Toy Story 4. We've also got now this next trailer for this next film. I have so many feelings about this because every time I watch it, and I do keep watching it because I have to.
I've done it. I've watched it like 8 times.
I have to keep for several reasons. First of all, to confirm to myself that this is actually a real thing that somebody has made, and secondly of all, to just see all the stuff that's in there.
Oh God, there is so
much going on, and
it's like Blade Runner.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of the shot composition, people are now like, "Are you serious to compare it to Blade Runner?" We've not seen it yet. Give it time. But like, it's that whole thing of oh look, it's just a street market. Pause. Look at that frame. Look at the amount of things in that frame.
Pokémon has gone live action.
Oh my God.
Detective Pikachu.
With Detective Pikachu. So when we first spoke about this, like a year ago, when they confirmed that it was happening, we were like, "Really?
It was
like you're doing a Pokemon movie?" And this is your first one?
It's a 3DS game. It's like a 3DS, like adventure style game, as opposed to a traditional Pokemon game where you play as a guy who has a Detective Pikachu sidekick, a Pikachu who can talk and is a detective. Yeah. Because of course. And then they announced that it was going to become a movie, and of course everyone wanted Danny DeVito to voice the Pikachu because of the contrast. And everyone was disappointed when they announced Ryan Reynolds. But hey,
not too long ago they announced that like 4 or 5 months ago, but of course the way these things work, he'll have recorded the bulk of his stuff like a year ago, or even longer.
But yeah, Ryan Reynolds is always going to do a good job. It's just not going to be as funny as Danny DeVito, just from a visual standpoint. But hey, whatever. And then this trailer dropped on Monday, and I just couldn't get my head round it.
It was the fact there was no tease. It just arrived.
Yeah,
like it just arrived,
and boy did it arrive. It's just like, just watch it. I'm just looking at this trailer going, that's a Charmander. There's a Dodrio walking around this city, and it's fine. Look at the angry Jigglypuff. Look at that furry angry Jigglypuff.
Look at how off his tits Psyduck looks.
Oh, Psyduck's so high! This is so high! This is the first time that Nintendo have licensed out one of their properties to live action since Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, because this is
the legendarily terrible.
This is Warner Brothers and
Legendary Pictures.
Legendary Pictures.
I don't think it's Warner Brothers. I think it's just
Warner Brothers distributing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Legendary Pictures and the Pokémon Company.
Yes,
working together.
And it looks like it's just going to be a straight up adaptation of the game, like down to the character names and stuff.
Yeah,
and the plot.
So like kid who's like older teen son of a detective.
Yes.
A lot of pressure to be like his dad. One day something happens to his dad.
His dad disappears after a car crash.
Yeah.
And then this talking Pikachu turns up and he's like, I'm going to help you look for your dad.
I don't know if it's this way in the game, but it definitely looks like in this one the plot is that he and the Pikachu can talk to. It's not a talking Pikachu so much as he can
Only
understand
he can hear the Pikachu.
Which is going to be a great joke, I think.
Well, we've got one of them in the trailer with the... You can hear him, right? And it's just Pika Pika.
And it's like, oh, it's so cute, Pika Pika.
You're adorable.
You're adorable.
You can't understand me, kid. Actually, really, the Ryan Reynolds voice really works with, like... And again, it's a juxtaposition of this super cute Pikachu design with the little hat and everything.
The little deer stalker.
But also, it's just Ryan Reynolds' voice coming out of it.
Yes.
And it's got these gorgeous, brown animal eyes, and it's...
Yes.
And
fuzzy.
And it just looks really cool.
The smartest decision they've made pretty many smart decisions here. It's,
it's
weaponized nostalgia. That already is a smart decision from a business standpoint.
We'll see how the film turns out, but from first impressions, it just looked like leaning into the cartoonish designs, but just... giving them slightly more realistic textures. That's
it. They look like the anime versions of the characters.
Yeah.
They look like how the designs have been since the anime stadium going forwards, which is a smart call because there's a wonderful artist. I can't remember his name. I follow him on Instagram. There's a wonderful artist who
realistic looking Pokemon.
This guy does
and they just all look terrifying.
Yeah, I mean they look amazing. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Like they look really really good.
But you need them to look fluffy and cute and approachable.
That's the thing. And I think it's to do with the tone.
Yeah.
I think that's a conscious decision to coincide with the tone of the film.
Well, it probably won't surprise you to learn that Nicole Perlman, who was the original screenwriter for Guardians of the Galaxy and has also done a pass on Captain Marvel, she's one of the screenwriters for this.
Okay, so it's already coming from that, we're going to do this tongue very firmly in cheek standpoint.
And the tongue is so firmly in the cheek that it's actually poking out the other side and wiggling a little.
Oh, like a licker tongue or a Greninja
or a licky.
Are they Greninjas?
Greninjas, yeah. There's a trio of Greninjas in this.
Yeah, who look like minions of something. Yes, because there's that bit where they look stalking down a corridor and it's
they
look
they're attacking, jumping to attack with their water shuriken. You got Charizard being all Charizard.
Oh, Charizard in what looks like an underground battle arena. Yep. Oh my god. A little pack of Bulbasaurs waddling through a pool.
Yep, going after the, I think they're called Morlulls. The little glowing mushroom dudes. I think they're from...
That opening shot with Bill Nye voiceover.
Yeah.
And on my first viewing, I think it was the same for you, but like on the very first viewing, you spot the Dodrio.
Yeah.
And then the Charmander runs in the bottom left corner of the screen. You're like,
that's Charmander. And there's a Squirtle walking around. There's a Venusaur in the market scene.
Yeah, what the little spider things on the counter?
The Joltics on the counter that are just crawling around.
Like, are they dumplings? No, we slowed down. It was like, they're moving.
They're Joltics.
They're little spiders. They're cute little spiders, little yellow spiders.
And then you've got the Emolgas hanging out on the roof of the market. You've got the posters, the missing posters for the Squirtle and the Pancham, which looks like they find them in the underground arena later.
Yeah, because we spotted the Pancham at the bottom of the frame, and oh my god, Ken Watanabe's in this. There's some pedigree in this movie.
You think he's going to say let them fight?
I wonder if he's in an exclusive deal with Legendary at this point. It's just like, I don't want to do the Godzilla sequel. Okay, fine.
Want to come do this Pokemon movie?
Do you want to do the Pokemon movie instead?
Alright, why not?
You can play a detective. You can say let them fight at some point.
Please say let them fight. Yeah, it's just... I mean, the adult in me is interested in like the logistics of how Pokemon exist in a world that looks very like our own. And the child in me is just interested to see Pokemon on the big screen in something that isn't a cartoon.
Because this has been... A Pokemon live-action movie's been on the cards very seriously.
Years and years.
But like very seriously for about 6 years.
Yeah.
Because there was a screenplay by somebody, and then it was rewritten by Max Landis, which was denied for a very long time. That was the whole hashtag Landis Pokemon thing that was going on for ages.
Apparently, it was in 2016 that it was first reported that in April 2016 it was first reported that the live-action movie rights had been bid upon through a top-secret auction from the Pokemon Company.
Yeah. The
three frontrunners being Legendary, Sony, and Warner Brothers. And then Legendary won out.
Which I'm quite glad at. Mm-hmm. But Warner Brothers are distributing.
I don't know if they are, you know.
It's, the trailer's up from Warner Brothers Pictures.
Oh, right, okay.
So they must have like...
Oh, yeah.
They must have approached them afterwards and gone, hey, want us to distribute and do the marketing?
It did Skull Island. It did a Skull Island in that it moved for distributors from Universal to Warner.
Wow! Oh god, Universal lost out.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was to coincide with their upcoming Nintendo Land.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But regardless of whether this is good or not, and I'm hoping it's fun.
God, I want it to be great. I want to have an absolute ball watching this.
I want to go see it.
It's weaponized nostalgia. There is a Psyduck being carried around in a freaking papoose-like backpack.
A back papoose.
With a trainer who you pointed out when we watched the trailer just before. She's full-blown Pokemon trainer like costume.
She looks like a Pokemon Go. She looks like the Pokemon Go trainer model.
She does. Oh my god! Now you've mentioned it. And the little cap,
soft shell jacket, and the leggings,
and the little cap, and the big boots. Yeah.
Also, she has a car.
She has a really dinky little car. It's all squished. And oh my god.
Question.
Yes.
Do people eat meat in this world? And if they eat meat, are those meat Pokemon?
Probably not.
Then where does the meat come from, Chris?
Well, to be fair, we don't see any evidence of it in the trailer. But to be fair, they do like put them in balls and make them fight.
True.
So
also, that Mr. Mime gag at the end.
Right.
So smart.
Did you get the same vibe I did? The moment it cuts to the overhead shot, and you can just see the little arc of it in the front of the... You had to sort of still yourself and prepare, because you were like, that's Mr. Mime. Are we going to see Mr. Mime? Are we going to fucking see
we're going to see Mr. Mime. And Mr. Mime miming. No, Mr. Mime bullshit. Just straight up miming.
And the fact that he resets his expression when he's listening. When he's listening, he's just like... it's like a big smile. Oh god. He says shove it. Yeah.
I love the way he gives the thumbs up. It's like, yeah, that's right.
Put down this stapler, or I will electrocute you.
Oh, you can hear me. I've been so lonely. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
So you think it's going to be like the plot of that Pikachu was his dad's...
In the game, the Pikachu's his dad's partner, and then he's in the car crash with him, and he has amnesia, so he's lost his memory.
Yeah.
And he can't use moves anymore, but he also... in losing his memory, he also doesn't know what happened after the car crash, and what's happened to his partner / the main character's dad. So that's why he's getting in on the case. But...
And then it's also tied into these Pokemon that are going missing as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I can't wait.
Yeah. I did not expect to be excited about a Pokemon movie of any stripe ever.
I think it's a smart call. The script that was doing the rounds for ages was a sports movie.
Yeah.
And it was about a kid and his team of 3.
And that sounds like a smart way to do it.
And it's a smart way to do it. It was the whole sports success story.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that makes sense. And you got apparently the focus was very much on his relationship with those 3 Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't about the catching and stuff. It was about the tournaments and them working together as a team for these things. And it was like, okay, there's something in that. I think this was a much smarter call.
Yeah.
I think this was a much smarter call. This is to go the comedy route. To make sure that, and again, just for your first movie, if you want to grab the public consciousness and grab them all, I mean, you got to catch them all. You go, hey, do you remember that little yellow mouse thing that was on all the lunch boxes 20 years ago? Now. Well, here it is, and it's voiced by Deadpool. Enjoy.
Do you think we're going to get a similar reaction when the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer finally drops? You know, that live-action Sonic the Hedgehog movie that they're making with Ben Schwartz as Sonic and Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik.
See, I'm now more open to seeing that.
Yeah?
Because of this, as weird as that sounds. This has made me go, okay, all right. Like, you've surprised me. I'm intrigued. This feels like Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, I'm getting that vibe
because of that cartoon, because they kept the cartoon look. And I think that's fine. I think you make it so that you can be a bit gritty and a bit scary with it. You know, mystery car crash, like someone's been kidnapping Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's like you can play the dark stuff, but then you keep those light, fluffy visuals so that it's that weird juxtaposition. It's sort of... It can be for the adults who grew up with this stuff when they were kids and the kids who are now really getting into Pokemon now. It
starts light and fluffy and then gets really pissed off. Like the Jigglypuff in the espresso bar.
God, that shot is amazing.
So good. That's so good.
See, Twitter went nuts for that and they were like, why is it so furry? It's like, What texture did you imagine a Jigglypuff was going to be?
Smooth and balloon-like.
Yeah, but what's that?
It doesn't look good. Like, it wouldn't look good.
It would look like Mr. Mime, for example. That's a fleshy skin tone.
Yeah.
And his shoulder pads aren't smooth. They're sort of ridged, like
they look like basketballs.
Yeah, like they're a little sort of like a little sports outfit or something on the shoulders.
It's texture.
And that's a smart decision.
Yeah.
Like oh man, I want it.
I want it
so bad, and I want it now.
Well,
but I will wait till next year.
We're going to talk about a couple more movies. Ones we've actually seen.
Yes!
Briefly, we want to touch on one that I saw a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, that one. And that you finally saw this week. Let's talk a little bit about Halloween. Let's do some spoiler talk on Halloween. So if you've listened to my thoughts on Halloween in a previous episode, so if you haven't seen it, we're going to do some quick spoiler talk before we get into another movie that we saw. So look for the time codes in the description, and let's do some Halloween spoilers. Christopher, what did you think of Halloween?
Let's really well do it. So Halloween was a bit of an odd one for me to go into because I hadn't watched the original in a million bloody years. So rewatching it a few weeks ago with your good self and our lovely ladies,
with your bad self,
was a really nice refresher.
Oliver refresher.
And then I didn't get to see the 2018 direct follow up immediately. I haven't
seen any of the sequels, by the way, apart from Halloween 3, which has nothing to do.
Season of the Witch!
Yeah.
Which has nothing to do with it, and is also out of canon because Halloween's playing on the TV in one scene. So,
yes.
But yeah, it's. I was a little sort of ooh because it came out, and the reception was the pre-release reception, so like the tagline reviews.
Yeah.
Were really positive. I mean, of course they are, because it's part of the advertising, but they were really positive. They were like, Jamie Lee Curtis gives a fucking great performance. There was that famous one which she said that once she read that quote from the preview screen, and she was like, yeah, we've done it, which was, you will freak the hell out, which is in the TV spot. And I was like, okay, like, I'm pretty excited. I like the concept. I like the idea of doing the follow-up to the slasher movie after 40 years and reversing the roles somewhat to the victim is now just as deadly as the slasher because they've spent years like waiting.
They've
for
also
this day.
spent years damaged.
Yeah,
and
they took their pain and let it define them for 40 years. So it's like, okay, there's a really interesting idea. Like the closest thing we've ever had to that, really, I suppose, is Aliens. Like in Aliens, Ripley has that turnaround moment of, I'm not going to let this situation be my end. Like, I am going to deal with this.
Yeah.
Which is great. And also, but this is the idea of 4 decades of Laurie Strode stewing over that night where her friends were killed and she nearly got killed by this random masked shape that just like came into the neighborhood and started murdering for no apparent reason other than evil.
The night he came home.
Yeah. So that got me excited, and your response got me excited because you really enjoyed it.
I did really enjoy it.
But then I saw Movie Bob's review and a few others.
Yeah, I thought he was weirdly down on it.
Yeah, well, I saw that and I was like, oh, that's a shame. And then I read a couple more, and I started seeing more 2 stars and stuff, and I was like, oh. So I sort of, my expectations almost were a bit lowered going in.
I saw the Movie Bob review before I saw the movie, so I was like, oh, maybe it's not going to be that great. But then I just ended up having a whale of a time.
Same experience for me.
Yeah.
We watched it yesterday as of this recording, and I was just like, do you know what? It's not amazing, it's not perfect, but I had a fucking good time.
Yeah. I mean,
like, I had a great time because it and I think a big part of that was having recently revisited the first one. I think they work beautifully as a companion piece.
Yeah,
and I think they would work well as a double bill. I think this one is stronger as a continuation of the original movie.
Oh yeah,
on its own, I think I'd be interested to see how it was on its own for people who have no experience with them.
Because it doesn't delve into bullshit mythology like the later movies do.
Yeah,
like trying to justify.
Why are we still telling the story? Let's justify telling the story by trying to find explanations and stuff.
And like listening to there's a great podcast series called Halloween Unmasked.
Yeah,
and it's a film critic whose name currently escapes me. And it's basically an 8-part series. I know, right? It's an 8-part series where she explores the making of the original Halloween. She has new interviews with like cast and crew members and all, including Jamie Lee Curtis and John Carpenter and stuff. And part of the idea behind the original movie was that sometimes bad shit just happens because it just happens.
Yeah.
There's no reason behind it. There's no cosmic plan. There's no ancient curse. There's no supernatural predestination. Bad shit just happens.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, there is there is almost a supernatural element in there of like, well, it can't be just as simple as this, but only because it is that, oh, evil exists. Evil exists. And it is a strangely powerful motivator and driving force.
In this...
For this person. This person is just evil.
Yeah.
Not enjoyably so, not sadistic, not malevolent.
No, you don't find yourself rooting for Michael ever.
Yeah. He's evil in that he's evil as if evil were a force of nature. A state of being. Like, it's not about who he is, where he came from. He's
is. Barely a person.
Yeah. And that's as sort of as far as the non-realism goes in tipping into supernatural, but it's not like ever maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Now, I think this one digs into that a little. Not explicitly, but certainly through his doctor's examinations and then what his doctor does. So again, just reminder, spoilers for Halloween 2018. When his current doctor kills the police officer to prevent him killing Michael, then takes Michael's mask off, drags his, sort of comatose body into the police car, and is wearing Michael's mask. It's like, man, the hell is going on right now? And that whole thing of he's like, so that's what it must feel like for you. And it's like, so he's trying to understand this patient. He's so fascinated by this patient.
Yeah.
And instead of doing what Loomis does in the original, which is, comes to the conclusion of, look, I've been monitoring him for 20 years, or whatever it is, like 19 years, whatever it is. Because Michael's like in his early 20s in the original, isn't he?
Yeah, it's 15 years, I think he's been looking after him. So he's like, I spent
21. This is 21 because he's 6 when he's taken in. So he's like, I've spent that
7
long.
years trying to understand him, and then I spent the next 8 years trying to get him, make sure he was locked up.
Yeah.
Stay locked up.
Fucking hell. And I like the idea that Michael has apparently not committed any acts of violence since. He's just stood there.
He's been dormant almost.
Just being studied and everything. Yeah. I think there's ways to handle the supernatural vibe of this idea well, and there are ways to handle it not so well. Later in the movie, it's handled quite well. The idea, because they continue the thing of, he really can't be kept down for long. No,
they hit him with a fucking car.
Yeah,
and he's up within
5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes movie time, probably like half an hour in film.
I didn't like how they established it at the beginning. I thought that was very sort of script was a bit on the nose when the podcaster pulls the mask out of his bag.
Yeah,
he's like, "You can feel it, can't you, Michael? You can feel the mask." It was just like,
I think that's just him being flowery. Like, it's him being like, this is my podcast, and I'm going to be thinking about it. Because it is a very heightened version of that sort of true crime reporting. That was a lead. That was a lead that went freaking nowhere. I kind of wanted him to survive, so he could get to back properly into Haddonfield and be the forewarning for someone. Yeah,
just to justify them being there, because they were in, and then 20 minutes in the film they're gone. I mean, that was one of the frightening sequences, was when she's in the cubicle.
Yeah.
And he just walks in. That's frightening. And the way that's done, and the way that he kills that guy, or nearly kills him. We have to assume that he bleeds to death after that moment, because you see him sort of on the floor.
Yeah, he's still alive when he's seeing his
pod partner being choked to death.
Yeah, killed.
And then you hear the gentle snap. Like the windpipes crushed in or something.
There's a lot of like off-screen neck snapping in this film.
Yeah, and jaw breaking and the hammer. The hammer!
It's got
the hammer.
Oh yeah, it's got a lot of the restraint of the original film, but it also, when it wants to go hell for leather, it does.
Yeah, that gives you I'd say there's at least 3 bits where it really sort of goes, here's your violence.
Oh, well, yeah, the head stamp.
The head stamp, the knife through the neck of the woman at the window.
Yes.
Which is clean, but shocking.
Yeah.
And the reveal of the gas station attendant with his smashed-in face and his mouth ripped open. That's... aside from that, it's quite reserved.
Yeah.
It's more about the dread. That's the thing that I really admired about this, and that's the thing I really took away from it. Like the first one, its scares, its uneasiness comes from the feeling of dread.
It takes its fucking time.
Yeah.
Because, like, one of the wonderful moments where it does that is, like, it's when the babysitter's killed.
Yeah.
And the kid runs out of the house, and her boyfriend goes in to try and save her.
Yeah.
And then you see him pick up the knife, and then you don't see what happens.
Yeah, we go away to another character.
Until the Will Patton police officer gets there, and then he just finds the guy fucking nailed to the wall with the knife.
Which is homage to the first one.
Halloween callback, yeah. I'm like, oh, alright. Okay.
His sister's headstone's been restored quite well.
Yes, and he doesn't nick it this time.
Nick it this time.
Also,
I do wish we'd gotten to know the mum more.
Yeah.
I feel like she was a bit one note.
It's Judy Greer. Judy Greer just gets thankless roles in films.
It's a shame, because I think that could have been the main character.
Yeah.
Or the granddaughter could have been our main character, and she could have been our into it.
I love when she feigns helplessness to lure
That's
Michael
great.
in.
But it was weird because I felt like we didn't see any signs of her strength before that.
Yeah.
So it seemed it came out of nowhere. It was a really cool moment.
For a moment.
Especially in that third act where it was just relentless stuff going on.
Because I think for a moment it feels genuine. And you think it's genuine. And it isn't until she gets him in her sights and then drops into cold sniper mode.
Yeah.
And fucking shoots him. That you're like, oh, no, she was faking that.
Yeah.
That's very good. That's very, very good.
Felt bad for her husband, though. Fucking hell.
Yeah. Poor guy.
And then is silently dragged upstairs and stuffed into a wardrobe.
Yeah.
In the interim.
Yeah. Michael's very good at that. And that was with Michael with 2 fingers down.
He plays possum.
Yes.
Well, 2 fingers down. So much so that he's got blood dripping to the cupboard.
Yeah.
He's got it smeared on those mannequins. And he's not near either of those spots. He's behind the curtain.
He's using it to his advantage.
Yeah.
He's a natural predator almost.
That's what's scary about him. Like, he's a shark.
Yeah.
He's Jaws. Like, he's just this black-eyed, although one milky stabbed, scarred up eye. But he's this black-eyed thing that just moves and kills when it has the opportunity to.
But then there's Laurie, who's become even more of a predator.
She was great in this.
All of her stuff was just so well thought out. It's stuff like...
I only have one regret, actually, with that.
What's that?
So she's drinking, waiting for the prisoner truck to go by, because she's just monitoring it.
Yeah.
And then she's drinking. And I couldn't quite... Direction-wise, they made that a little unclear to me. I guess the implication was she was freaking out so much. And she's just like, I can't do it. And she goes to the restaurant. She tries to move on.
She'd gone there to kill him.
Oh, she had, but like she sort of freaks out, and you have that moment where it looks like there's someone walking to the car, and she refers to him. She's just like, "I saw him. I saw the shape." Yeah. It's like, "Oh, cool!" Like, call back to the name of Michael in the script from the first one.
Yeah.
It's like you see that and you think, "Oh, was that him getting out? Like, was she there when it happened?"
Yeah.
But it's more implied. More implied that she was freaking out.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm disappointed in, what I thought they were going to do, the fact she showed up to the dinner, or like, "Hey, how's it going? Yeah, take a drink." I thought she'd caused a crash. I thought she did it on purpose, and they were going to reveal that. Because she's determined to kill him that night.
Okay, yeah.
So I think that would have been a nice touch. I think if it was like,
yeah,
what have you done? And it's like, she did it.
I don't think she's that much of a monster, though.
No, but at the same time, well, they hold that thing of like, does a monster create a monster? But they did that whole thing of amping up that, what'd you call it? That you get a very brief explanation of how he escaped. Apparently, during the journey, he muscled his way to the front.
Yeah.
Beat up the guard on duty, and then killed the driver.
Yeah.
It's like, how? But I mean, obviously now we know how. Later on, you figure out how his doctor probably fucking uncuffed him.
Yeah.
But it could have been made a little clearer. But I don't know. That'll be why Laurie didn't do it, because the doctor was involved.
Yeah.
But I wonder how that would have changed the story. I do love the bit where the crash is found by a sort of angry, it hinted at homophobic dad or at least gay panic. At least gay panicky dad.
I think he's one of those. He's like. They imply that he's sort of a dad who doesn't really understand his son, but he tries to.
Well, he said, like, why are you not coming out hunting with me? He's like, I want to go dance class. He's like, oh, you like that, do you? And he's like, yeah, I do. But the kid makes a big point of being like, I love spending time with you too, but I also love that, and I want to do some more of that at the minute. No, because the dad said something like that prissy dancing or whatever. Yeah. I was like, they're sort of playing off the archetype of the gay panic dad. Like, no boy of mine's going to be dancing.
Yeah, but I don't think they go all the way with that. I think they make him a little bit more sympathetic.
Yeah, well, yeah, he doesn't.
It's less that
he doesn't bollock his kid, but it's still.
But he just doesn't get it.
Yeah. Either way, they set up. They set up a bit of backstory with these two in that moment.
Yeah.
And they make it very clear this kid is having trouble with his dad, but he loves and respects him.
Yeah.
And then his dad doesn't come back to the car within like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And I was sat there wanting to yell at the screen, going, "Why are you leaving the vehicle?
Yeah.
Stay in the vehicle."
Yeah. But that's a classic horror thing right there.
But it was bold of him to be like, yeah, it's going to be like a 9-10-year-old kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to see that 9-10-year-old kid get his neck snapped.
Yeah.
In a again, sort of semi-visual reference to the girl getting her neck snapped in the first one.
Yeah.
In the driver's seat.
Yeah.
Really creepy.
There's some effective tension in that. Really effective tension.
The cop, is he in the first one?
No.
No, we get an explanation of what happened just after the first one, don't we? That a cop apprehended Myers, and it's this guy, and then Loomis tried to kill Myers, and this cop stopped him.
And then he now regrets that.
Yeah. Which I don't think he says outright. It's just the actor gets to show it on his face when it's described.
He says
it later on, yeah.
Because he says it later when he tries to kill him, and then the new Loomis does him with his pen blade.
Yeah. Oh god.
Which is a pretty cool little thing.
A little spinal column on the side. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Very strange. But yeah, that's Halloween. It's really good.
I had fun.
Let's talk about another horror movie that we both saw this week.
Which
God. I was going to see anyway, but then I wanted to fit it in before this podcast when I got a text from you saying, "Oh yeah, Overlord's right up your street. You should go and see it." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So that's Overlord.
Got a last minute call toward the end of last week. Our good friend Billy started a job this week and starts his new full-time job next week.
Woo!
So he was like, did you need to go to town for anything? Because this is the last time we could possibly just randomly go cinema midweek. Are you free? And I was like, well, actually, I do need to go to town on Friday morning, so do you want to join me Friday? Like, great.
Neat.
So we had to catch up about some Five Who Plans plans, and then we went to cinema and was like, right, what's on?
Five Who Plans.
Oh, Five Who Plans.
Hey!
Oh, Overlord, the 18 certificate horror movie, is on at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yes.
Which was the same thing with Halloween yesterday. We saw it mid-afternoon.
Well, because I was going to go try and see it before work on Tuesday, but the earliest showing was 1:30, so I was like, I can't go see it. I don't have time.
Oh, good lord, though. Oh, good Lord. Overlord, though.
Oh, good Overlord. It's very good.
Yeah. Well, we'll try and keep it spoiler-free as possible, but expect some minor spoilers.
Yeah, so...
So basically, the plot is
it kind of came out of nowhere.
It's shortly before the D-Day landings.
It's just before the D-Day landings. Basically, it's the day before the D-Day landings, and a group of American paratroopers have to go behind enemy lines in France, Nazi-occupied France, and take out a radio tower so America can get air support.
The ships are heading, and there's like 20 planes, and they're all making their way to go and do various things, and some of them are obviously aiming for this particular village.
Yeah.
And then the Germans attack.
Yeah,
like they are sussed, and the planes are torn to shreds.
Yeah.
In what I would argue, and this isn't a down like point for the film or anything, but I would argue that this was the film's most visually impressive set piece because it was terrifying.
Yeah,
like the bullets just start coming through the plane.
The movie starts off as like a 1950s. Like era war movie, even down to the title card.
Yes, and it's all in sepia, and
it's really good because as the movie shifts genre as it goes on, it shifts visual style.
Yes,
from war movie to horror movie, and it really works on every. I can't really think of much bad to say about this film. It's just really, really well done and good. And well acted and well directed and well performed and well set up. It's got great effects. It looks gorgeous. It's got a really neat script with a bit of bite to it. It's got the Predator style of having a bunch of characters that are so broadly drawn that you instantly understand them without having to get a bunch of backstory.
Yeah.
Although you do get little bits here and there. And
like, for example, our main character is Private Boyce.
Yeah.
And you don't really learn much about Boyce in terms of where he's from or anything like that. Too much. They touch on it. They have conversations.
They talk about him being from
at the dinner table.
Later, and
but what I mean is you don't really get like a sense of here's what he wants out of life, and but you just get a sense of who he is and what that means, because you learn that he was drafted in.
Yeah.
And he understood that he had a duty.
And he doesn't like killing things.
He doesn't like killing things. He would rather, and that's probably why he's fighting, because he's like, I would rather people not have to die.
Yeah.
But he's mocked for it by one of the other soldiers. What was his name? The one who was an arsehole.
Oh, the New York guy.
Yeah, was it Tibbet?
Yeah.
Tibbet.
Yeah, Tibbet.
John Magaro.
John Magaro.
Yeah, that's him. So, like, he mocks him for it. He sort of takes the piss out of the fact that he's not willing to get his hands dirty and everything. And stuff like that. And it's just sort of like, oh, that's, this is harsh. But, fuck me. Like, you instantly empathise with this character.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is down to Jovan Adipo's
another British actor
performance. Yeah,
knocking it out of the park.
Like, he's great in this.
Yeah, he's
really good. I mean, the whole cast are great, but like he's definitely the main character, and he's the one that you're with.
And Wyatt Russell, particular stands out. Wyatt Russell, he is the son of Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, and
which I didn't know until afterwards. And then once you said it, I was like, shit, of course.
He is very much his father's son.
He plays a role of orphan boy in Escape from LA. That's his first film credit.
And he's in Playtest in Black Mirror.
Oh, yeah.
He's the main guy in that.
Fuck! I didn't even realise. He's great in that. Yeah, oh god, well there you go. In terms of films, his film career started consistently from 2010 onwards.
Yeah.
He's in High School, Cowboys and Aliens.
He's more of a sports guy.
This is 40.
He plays sports.
He's a damn good actor, though.
Yeah. If this movie had come out in the 80s, it would have been a Kurt Russell role. And it is absolutely... he is absolutely channeling his dad in this. It's fucking wonderful. Because there are shades of, like, John Carpenter bits in this. It shifts from that war movie through to sort of, like, not quite The Thing, but like sort of more Prince of Darkness, Reanimator, Return of the Living Dead territory. Yes.
Well, that's the thing. There's definitely that Thing-esque body horror in pockets.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's I mean, Christ, there's even like a Reanimator kind of.
Yeah.
So the basic plot is that like they get shot down, and then the very small group of them that survive team up with a lady in the village called Chloe, whose aunt is very deeply unwell.
Yeah,
after having returned from the Nazis' sort of centre beneath
church,
the chapel,
which is where the radio tower is that they need to take down.
Yeah,
it turns out there's a lab underneath there, and the Nazis are doing all sorts of weird experiments,
specifically related to the earth and like water reserves and everything, and oils beneath this village. Which is why they spent all the money, because they believe this is the key place to do their experiments.
Yeah.
And at first you're like, what does that mean? And then you see them sort of like firing squad with flamethrowers.
Yeah.
2 of their prisoners. And it takes a couple of like bursts of the flamethrower to kill them.
Yeah.
And then you see the severity of the ant's apparent infection.
Yeah.
And then Boyce ends up in the labs.
Yeah.
And
sees some shit.
Sees some fucking scary. And that's the thing. It takes a sharp turn at that moment.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's hints of something bigger afoot. But like I said, it's a war movie. And then he sees things in the labs. And suddenly you go, wait, what?
And it does that great genre thing of, if it had just been a war movie, Like if again going back to Predator, because that's another genre twist.
Yeah.
If Predator had just been an action movie, it would have been a pretty damn good action movie.
Yes.
If this had just been a war movie, a straight war movie, it would have been a pretty great war movie. But then they throw in the genre stuff, and you're like, oh shit!
Yeah.
This gets really good.
Gnarly stuff.
And I had a grin on my face for so much of it. Because it revels in the concept and the silliness of the concept, but remaining serious. It just does. It's really effective action, some really good scares, fantastic makeup effects, just like absolutely incredible makeup and gore effects, and it gets fucking gory. Like there's some gnarly shit in this, but it's just a great. Fun time if you like bombastic action horror movies. This is gonna be right up your street. It is fucking fabulous. A complete surprise. You knew it was coming because it was rumoured it was going to be a Cloverfield movie for a while.
Yeah, because Bad Robot acquired it. I think
they straight up produced it.
Oh, so the belief was that it was like, oh, this is another one of those projects they're quietly ticking away on, and you could see how maybe they'd tie it in, like maybe with the substance in the earth might or may not have something to do with like and
then you look at
the dimensional stuff and the energy stuff. But I'm so glad it wasn't. I'm so glad it wasn't a tie-in and that it was its own beast.
You look at what else the director's done. Who directed it? Julius Avery.
Durka.
What else? He's
you
not
can't quote
really
America
done a lot of stuff. Like he's done a few movies, but like not anything you'd really know. Like nothing. Like what has he got? He's got a bunch of projects upcoming. 2014, Son of a Gun, a bunch of shorts. Like that's it. This is like his first major picture, and it's fucking great.
It's damn strong. It's also as well. What's it? The SS officer played by Pilu Asbeck.
Oh yeah, from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, who was he in Game of Thrones? Euron Greyjoy.
Yes,
he's
having so good.
A ball.
So good.
He's having a whale of a time because he gets to play scary and sinister and uncomfortable and insidious.
Yeah,
and then he gets to play nasty, insidious, and like uncomfortable, horrible person. With some horrible Nazi science involved.
Yeah.
And some great prosthetics.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's so good. There's so much to love about this movie. Like, and for something that didn't get a lot of buzz, I think it's really underperformed as well, sadly. But it's just so cool.
Yeah.
It's a great time at the movies.
Oh, he's done alright for villains. He played Pontius Pilate in the Ben-Hur remake.
Oh, nice. Well, apparently that movie was dog shit.
And Batu in Ghost in the Shell.
He's not a villain.
No, but he, like, again, prosthetics and kind of
the little eyes.
Yeah. He was also in Lucy.
I've still not seen that Ghost in the Shell movie. I'm in no rush.
Neither am I.
Well, if we're not going to do spoilers on Overlord, give people a chance to see it, should we get into some emails?
Yeah, sorry, I read that he was in Lucy, and I've got Sister Rust, the main track by Damon Albarn from that track. Is it Damon Albarn?
Hey!
Damon Albarn, Blur, Gorillaz, is that his name? Oh god. Where is it? Where's the soundtrack to Lucy? Here it is. On my phone. Damon Albarn, yeah. Sister Rust, great song. Bought the soundtrack to Lucy after I watched it, because I was like, this score is gorgeous.
Good to know.
Let's Luke Besson. There's always going to be something interesting about the film.
Right, let's get into some emails. We've got some emails from everyone. Of course,
sponsored by, I don't know, freaking Coca-Cola. We're not, but if they like to.
On the subject of Coca-Cola, have you tried the new Cinnamon Coke Zero?
Shut up.
Oh, mate, it's good.
I'm not a big fan of cinnamon, but I'd give that a try.
Oh, it's good.
I'd give that a try.
It's their limited festive edition. It's tasty.
Or
the only place I've seen it, though, is the Tesco garage on the top road.
We're not sponsored by Tesco, but, you know, if they want to.
Or the garage. Or, in fact, the top road. Two
Big Damn Cast, sponsored by a road.
The two reigning subjects in the emails this week are, of course, Demons of the Punjab.
Yes, Doctor Who
episode, and the sad passing of Stan Lee. So we're going to be getting into those. Starting with this first one from Harry T. The T is for Tetley. Draper. It says, au revoir, Matt Johnson and Chris Watson. Quick review of Doctor Who.
Au revoir? Does that mean goodbye?
Yes. Quick review of...
Doesn't that mean Tarot? Yes, it does.
Yes.
Like, okay.
Quick review of Doctor Who and the Demons of the Punjab. That's a new episode in my top 10 Doctor Who stories of all time. By Verity, that was fantastic. Isn't Bradley Walsh's Graham simply stunning?
He is the best.
I love Bradley Walsh in this. I think Graham's a great character.
The character, his approach to it.
He's just
the very human moments he has.
Just so warm.
Yeah.
And accepting of everyone.
It's what I always wanted. It was Wilf.
Yeah.
Like having a character like that be there for longer.
Yeah.
We got a glimmer of it in a previous Chibnall character, Brian Williams.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this character's lovely and warm. I'd love to see them in it more. And we didn't. Well, now we've got a character in a whole series.
Yeah, and he's great.
Yay.
You like him. The twist that sparks the third act was genuinely gripping, I agree. I think it would have worked just that bit better if we hadn't had a few misunderstood alien storylines recently, just to make the Tusk Assassins more unique, but otherwise, ruddy good show. And you were saying this earlier, and I totally get that. Yeah. But I also think this series is definitely trying to be more socially conscious and socially active.
Yeah.
So you're getting more humans are the real monsters stories. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what it needs right now. Because I think the using... I mean,
pop a couple of baddies in there.
No doubt we'll get them.
Just for a bit of variety for the series itself.
I've no doubt we'll get them. But I think it's a good way to sort of refocus the series and sort of turn around and say, hey, look, sci-fi and fantasy, they're really good for pointing out what's wrong with the world via allegory. Yeah. So we're just going to do some people stuff to make those allegories a bit clearer for a little bit, and then we'll get back to the monsters later. Don't worry about it.
In terms of Alien...
And also we got to go windier, so, you know.
It's kind of... Well, I think they filmed quite a lot of this in Cardiff as well.
Well, still. But like...
Quite possibly in the same forest that they shot Jodie's teaser trailer.
Like doing another historical.
Yes, which made me happy. I love the historicals.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that, again, it tackled something that's very sort of not as globally like known and prescient, for lack of a better word, than the story of Rosa Parks. Yeah. But definitely something that obviously affected a large part of the world, specifically Asia and Britain Britain had a very big hand in the cause of. And, like, you know, the divide between India and Pakistan and everything, like, and talking about the petition, like, that is some heavy shit.
It is some heavy shit.
And it's fascinating they dealt with it. And I agree with you. We were talking beforehand about this. You said that the best sort of part of it was the face-off between brothers. Like, at the end, that idea that his brother, he couldn't, Prim, was it? He couldn't talk his brother around. Like, he couldn't do it. Because he was radicalised.
Yeah.
Radicalised and young and frightened for his country, and he put it in his head that his brother was the enemy because he fought for essentially the opposite of what they were all being made to do.
But it's just
or influence
you're willing to shoot your brother because of a line on a map.
Yeah, that was yes.
It's just it's
and when they found out that Prim was destined to die.
Yeah. They can't stop it.
They can't stop it. And then Graham's like sort of like straightening his outfit for the wedding day. And you just... Bradley Walsh. But that was the best performance in the whole episode for me, was just that little moment.
And definitely that's becoming a theme, I think, because you're going to have that moment at some point in the series where Graham thinks, why can't I go back and save Grace?
Yeah.
And now
he knows that they can't... I mean, that being said, I think that was how I worded my criticism on Twitter, was I would like a couple more stories where they actively save the day.
Yeah.
We got that with the Taranga conundrum.
Oh, the Pating.
Because it was like, this ship's either going to be blown up or we're going to bring a deadly problem to the hospital place. Like, we have to deal with this.
Yeah.
And in Rosa's case, it wasn't like, we have to save the day. It was, we have to make sure that nothing changes this day.
Yeah.
So that was fair enough, but like apart from that, there's not really been any big saving the day episodes.
No.
And so I'd like another one of them at some point, which is where I think the baddie stuff comes in, because you can tell that kind of story quite easily with the whole here are the baddies, like they are doing a horrible thing. Doctor, go stop that thing.
I like that it's telling more. It's currently telling more human stories, both in the literal and metaphorical sense.
Yeah.
So
also, what were the aliens called? What were they called again?
Oh, I can't remember.
Because it sort of suggests that they're up there with like the Draconians and stuff.
Yeah,
as like
they're an ancient assassin race.
Yeah, and they've been around
who have
since
now turned
forever.
over a new leaf. because they're
to pay respect for the destroyed.
Dead. Yeah. So I think it's a really good episode, and we'll no doubt get more.
But not in a creepy Shan Sheath way.
No.
From Sarah Jane Adventures. People were saying, they're like vultures. Like, you want to see fucking vultures? Go watch Death of the Doctor.
Yeah.
There's some fucking vulture aliens voiced by David Bradley.
Oh, yeah.
Who mourn the dead.
Gotta love a Shang-Chi.
And look like giant vultures, because of course they do. And they're great.
Continuing on with this email. And what a show Stan Lee put on for us.
Oh, God, yeah.
Too right, Harry.
Oh, and he didn't write Names of the Punjab, Harry.
No,
Do your research.
We're changing topics now. What I really absolutely adore about Stan is that he knew he was brilliant, and he said it loud and proud. You can read it in his introduction to the comic books, hear it in his voices in the video games, see it in his smile and behind his eyes in interviews and movie cameos. His was an His was an imagination.
His was a midget.
That continues to serve as inspiration and thus will forever be the architect of many beloved childhood memories for so many people who needed them. He was Stan Lee, the truest believer of them all. Thanks for everything as usual, lads, and belated congratulations to Chris and Lucy on your matrimony. I wish you all the very best in your ongoing marathon of Doctor Who, and even more so, your future together. Excelsior and bonjour.
Ending with hello. Darn it. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. Bye, Jiminy.
This one comes in from Lewis.
Excelsior.
Says, hello, Chris and Matt. It's been a while since I've emailed in, but I've still been listening week after week and had to share my thoughts on this topic.
Ooh.
On the 12th of November 2018, I was busy celebrating my 17th birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I just got the new Batman Animated Series Blu-ray and was having a blast. Then I checked Twitter. It was the worst feeling in the world to see that my hero had passed on. I never got the chance to meet Stan Lee, but he was the architect of myself and a lot of other people's childhoods. I feel like he was always there for me growing up, albeit in the forms of various characters like the X-Men, Fantastic Four, Hulk, Captain America, and particularly Spider-Man, who is a character I relate to on a personal level and always have. A lot of his characters taught me lessons about power and responsibility, as well as informing the person I am now and am becoming. Be it in print, cartoon, or big screen form, the Marvel Universe felt like my home when I was younger. I love superheroes and comics because they inspire us to be better versions of ourselves, and Stan portrayed that along with legendary artists like Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko. He always seemed humble and polite in interviews, and the fact that he reached so many generations of fans is incredible. Stan Lee always felt like someone who was immortal, so I was shocked and devastated when his passing was announced. It felt like part of my childhood had gone. But it'll never ever be forgotten. He leaves a gargantuan legacy behind him and changed pop culture forever. This is the first time a celebrity death has really hit me hard, so forgive me if this email sounds overly emotional, but Stan Lee truly was and still is my hero. Excelsior, true believers, rest in peace, Stan. From Lewis.
Well said.
Beautiful, Lewis. And yeah, I echo a lot of those sentiments. He absolutely was a weaver of the finest stories and...
Some of the most batshit mental stuff as well.
Just imagination.
Was it earlier this year you were revisiting early Fantastic Four?
Oh, it's just nuts. Like, between him and Jack Kirby, like, the imagination just spills out wholesale. They did 102 issues on their run, and they created a universe wholesale.
Yeah, it's
incredible.
Totso. Like, proper Totso. In fact, there you go, there's the Submariner story. Of course, the individual issues had like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, just to break it up and make it a little more like a serial. There he is, looking over with his giant eyebrows.
Fantastic Four evicted from building.
5 tower floors for rent. It's like,
Brilliant.
What is this? It's so good.
Brilliant.
And Doom. Like, can we talk a minute about Doctor Doom?
Can we talk about Doctor Doom?
I think that's his best villain creation.
Doctor Doom is just
he created some damn good villains. And he talked on the documentary I was watching about, like, coming up with villains. Sometimes, like, you come up with a hero, and once you've got your hero and you know what they are and what they stand for, just have fun with the villain. Sometimes you can find some deeper meaning in their juxtaposition to the hero.
Yeah.
Other times, it's just a case of, oh my god, wouldn't it be fun to watch someone with these powers have to deal with someone with these powers? It's like Spider-Man, he said he never intended for the villains to mostly have like an animal theme, for that to be like a recurring thing. He just liked the idea of like a man who turns into a lizard monster, and it's like, that'd be great, and it could do it through science, and that would be fantastic because it'd be in a lab coat and it'd look really cool. And Dr. Octopus, he knew he wanted somebody with mechanical arms, And then he thought like of tentacles, and he was like, "Oh, great! I will make him a scientist because again, Peter's into science. We could sort of use that as a window." And he was like, "Oh, we could be a professor." No, a doctor, Doctor Octopus. And then he gets like the name and the basic idea. And he's like, "Right, I'll do this." Doctor Doom is amazing.
Yeah.
There are a lot of our listeners will probably go, "No, he's not," because they'll have just seen him in his couple of film iterations.
Well, to all those listeners who think Doctor Doom isn't amazing, you're all wrong.
He's so good. And it's Stan's idea for that is brilliant, because he said he liked the idea, and I can't remember where he says this anecdote. I think it might be in a Fat Man and Batman, maybe... Oh no, I think it's there's a documentary called Once Upon a Time the Superheroes. I think it might be in that where I first saw this. Because before Wikipedia was readily available, kids, teen me was just buying DVDs in HMV sales that were documentaries about the comics industry. And that's how I learned about it. And I've still got them and I love them. But in that one he said, I love the idea that you could walk up to any policeman in New York. I think I might have mentioned this before. He says you could walk up to any policeman in New York and you could drop litter on the ground in front of them. And that policeman would be like, "Hey, right, pick that up right now or I'll serve you with a ticket." You could walk up to any police officer in New York and say, "I'm going to take over the world." And they can't do anything about that. Like, as long as that's all you're doing, they can't do anything about that.
Nope.
They can't arrest you for that. That's not taking over the world isn't a crime. It's not like something that can be prevented.
How you go about it is what makes
that could be a crime. But like you can announce that. And he said, imagine if someone could do that and no one could stop them. And that's what he said. Well, a monarch could do that. Like a politician could stand in front of the world stage and say, "We're going to rule the world," or "I'm going to rule the world," and the rest of the world can't go, like, "We're going to stop you." They'd have to just go, "No, you're not," and then that person could go, "Yeah, I can," and reveal their plan or prove them wrong. So he liked the idea of a villain with diplomatic immunity who could stand on the world stage and be like, "Ha!" So that's where the basic idea of Doctor Doom came from. And then the rest of it starts to build up. The scientist, the magician, like, but
I'm a monarch. I just happen to be a monarch in a suit of armour with a green cloak, and also I have magic, I guess.
Yeah, and I wear this mask voluntarily. Oh wait, no, I don't anymore because my face is screwed up because of you, Richards, and I'll never forget it. Actually, Victor, you did that to yourself.
Shut up, Reed!
I don't do anything wrong because he's got small man syndrome as well.
Boy,
like it's in there, but he's also like
unstoppable.
But he's like passionately is a mommy's boy to the point where a lot of the study of magic was to try and get his mother out of hell.
Yep.
It's like, what is this guy? Like what Stan loved was big stories and big Shakespearean concepts, like the big world stage. He wrote a poem, which, if you read it in its entirety, is like 10 minutes, called God Woke. Because he was very big into like the big Shakespearean kind of concepts, these grand sweeping stories. And very much so in that whole thing of like, the creation aspect of life and what it is to be a king and things like that. He loved telling stories from those points of view, which is why I think a lot of his comic book characters really stand the test of time, because Magneto's not just "Mwahaha, my evil plan," it's "ha ha ha, here is my life philosophy."
Or even if they start as that, then as they recur, every time they come back, Stan and whatever artist he was working with would flesh them out a little bit more, flesh them out a little bit more.
Because the groundwork's there, like he's laid it, and it's hilarious because you could tell he had a bullshit radar.
Oh yeah.
When it came to artists and creators who weren't like as passionate about bringing genuinely new ideas and original creative swathes, there's that wonderful footage from a show he did in the 90s.
Yeah.
If you search on YouTube and you search up the video, Stanley Owns.
This is one of the things that it was very much all over Twitter in the immediate wake of the announcement of his passing.
Yeah. It was getting shared like crazy. I think Phoenix retweeted like 2 versions of it.
It's so good.
He did a show where like, and no disrespect to the work and legacy of Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because there's some, because they have contributed massively to the comic book lexicon.
Todd McFarlane created Spawn.
Yeah, he also drew some of the best Spider-Man of the 80s.
Todd McFarlane created Spawn.
He drew some of the best Spider-Man of the 80s.
Todd McFarlane created
And then there's
Spawn.
Rob Liefeld, whose art I'm not a fan of, but I do like a lot of his contributions in terms of character and stuff.
You can't fault his enthusiasm.
You can't fault his enthusiasm, absolutely not. And he's also up for being taken the piss out of, at least in a professional context.
He loves that shit.
He'll fight with fans and be critics on Twitter, but he doesn't mind when a multi-million-dollar movie franchise takes the piss out of his inability to draw feet.
Hey, if you're getting paid,
that's true.
Who cares?
It's like a dumbass superpower that was dreamt up by an idiot with an over-obsession with pouches and an inability to draw feet. It's just like, great.
Very good. Very good.
So, but they go on this thing and they create a character from scratch, and Stan Lee's just sort of interviewing them as they're drawing and doing this character. And the character is called Overkill, and one of them, either Rob or Todd, repurpose him a few years later as Overt Kill.
Overt Kill.
And it's just like, oh. But again, it's just the whole thing of like, now what's his deal? And the idea is that they're just sort of on the fly creating a character.
Yeah.
But it's the same as every other character they were making at that point. It's like a cyborg, and he's a big chunky guy, and he's covered in pouches, and he's got a robot arm, and he's disgruntled, and he's angry, and he's fighting his humanity versus his programming. It's just like the most obvious 90s thing ever. And Stan's remarks are just
so
littered with sass. Yeah,
he's brilliant.
It's got, but in no way where they can sort of say anything, because he's doing it in that humorous lens.
How long does he take to get dressed?
Yeah, but you just know that he's thinking, Christ's sake, like,
Christ,
guys, you're overcomplicating this.
They keep it simple, stupid.
I love his. I loved his. What do you call it? He was very self-deprecating from time to time and very humble. But if the opportunity to make a joke about how amazing he is came up, he grabbed it, and he liked to sort of comedically spar with people.
Yes,
because he always said that he would have liked to have been an actor at some point because he really does enjoy it. But he got the chance loads of times, like narrating shows and all this stuff. Like he always got the chance, and I think that's why he leapt at it. Because he always tended to play variations of himself.
Oh, yeah.
And he said in the 80s that Spider-Man movie at that point, there was a Spider-Man movie in the works in some way, and he was lobbying to play Jameson. Because he realised, who better to play him? I created him, and he was based on what some of my employees thought of me. So, I could play... And Stan would have played a pretty great JJ, really.
Yes. Yeah.
And again, in that documentary, shot in 2001, released before the Spider-Man movie, they're talking about it like it's an upcoming thing, and it's a really weird for context. He says, the guy they've got for Jameson, wonderful guy, JK, something. He's amazing. When you see him, you won't believe how good he is. And he's fucking right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is.
Oh my god, the yellow M&M, he's terrifying as Jameson. But yeah, so he could spar really well with people comedically. I retweeted the Jay Leno Flies, a wonderful YouTube channel that has been gradually reposting grouped interviews of certain stars and stuff from Craig Ferguson's time as the host of the Late Late Show.
Yeah, I saw this.
And Stan, did you watch any of it?
I didn't watch it.
It's great. It starts with a bit of a sketch from the start of an episode where Craig's pitching him a superhero called Invisible Clothes Man.
Oh god!
And then it's Stan's second appearance, and then they show his third appearance, which is the one where that was the preceding skit at the start of the episode. His first appearance, he's there to talk about something or other. I think they've got him on as a fill-in.
Yeah. Because
they were trying to get him on for ages for summer, and they couldn't, and then a guest pulled out, and they managed to get Stan, so they got him in, and Stan takes the piss out of them for him just being a standby. And then the second interview, he's there to plug the, from 2011 or whenever it was, the reissue of How to Draw Comics the normal way.
Yeah.
Where they put it out again with a new forward, new content and stuff. I've got a reprint of the older version with the white cover and everything. Nice. It's great. But in that one he's taking the piss, and he talks about, we don't need to talk about the book. It's already sold out already, I assume. Of course it has. It's the number one book in this country and worldwide. But the whole thing, Craig is really good at sort of taking the mickey out of his guests in a way that they enjoy, and he's sort of very laid back. Stan keeps him on his toes the entire time and attacks him back. They have an argument about their Twitter followers. But Craig's a robot skeleton army, and Stan doesn't like that because he's got his brigadiers.
Yeah.
And he's the Generalissimo, and he's mine will always be here to protect me, and they're bigger than yours, and you've only got one robot skeleton. There's not an army. He's like, we call them robot skeletons. He's like, well, only one of them is a robot skeleton. And he's just proper having a go at it. It's wonderful. And at that point, he's 87, I think, in this footage, and he's just like a spring chicken. It really is only in the last sort of 6-7 months where we've seen footage of him as his health deteriorated a bit and everything, where you see that he's like, oh no, he's slowing down now. Like, he's slowing down. And it seems that his death was actually quite sudden. Like, he was taken in on emergency early Monday morning, and then he passed like an hour later.
I think he'd had a bout with pneumonia earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And had sort of been, like, February time, and had sort of been deteriorating since then.
Yeah.
And certainly looked frailer and a little weaker than we'd seen before, but...
Yeah. But yeah, Christ.
95, like...
Damn, what
like I say, I've been stealing myself for it because
1922 to 2018.
Jesus Christ, what a life!
Damn,
that we all could live such a life would be a wonderful thing.
Let's all create Spider-Man at the age of 39.
Yes,
that'd be good.
For 8 years, 9 years, no, 8 and a bit. This one comes in from Tom Monty. We're all about Demons of the Punjab in this one.
Hello, says, Tom.
Dear Kristen Demons of the Punjab was my second favourite of Series 11 so far after Rosa, 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 Rosa. It's a Brooklyn Nine-Nine reference for everyone there. But that isn't saying much, TBH. I thought Vinay Patel handled 13 a lot better than she's been handled by Chibnall. Where does Punjab rank in your thoughts about Series 11?
Their first script, wasn't it? For the show. It was really good. Damn solid debut for a new writer.
I think this is great. I think it's definitely this and Rosa, the 2 best episodes of the season. Easily.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I know it's a tad early, but who would be your ideal Chris Chibnall replacement? I'm not even thinking about that yet.
No, I mean, we've not really seen the full extent of what his showrunner style is.
Yeah.
We think we've got an angle on it, but we've got 4 episodes left, so we don't really know.
I'll tell you this: not Scott Buck. He was the showrunner for the first season of Iron Fist and Marvel's Inhumans.
Oh,
one of the worst showrunners in the history of anything ever.
I don't know, but do you know what I would like?
Who's that?
I would like a showrunner to do the American showrunner thing. Obviously, they have longer seasons, which is part of the reason they do this, but do the American showrunner thing of writing like the opener, maybe the finale, 1 or 2 in the middle, but mostly just acting as the overseer.
Yeah.
Just to see if that would be different. Just to see if so there's someone at the helm who concentrates more on setting that tone.
I'm gonna steer this ship.
Yeah, like, and even if it is a co-writer thing, even if it means that they co-write with everyone, fair enough. I'd just be intrigued to see that, because I do fear that we, probably because of the Moffat era, we focus so much on an individual writer's tropes and ticks.
Yeah,
like we focus too much on them.
Yeah.
And I'd rather it be a case of just going in and letting the story speak for itself each week, than anticipating certain things going in.
And I think it's been a really strong season this year, so
yeah, it's been pretty damn great.
No rush to get rid of him.
I'd say it's on par with sort of like first half Series 7 so far. I mean, to be fair, Chibnall wrote 2 of those 5 stories, so maybe that's why. But like first half Series 7 was the last time where I felt like the consistency was pretty much in a really good place. Yeah. Even if they didn't all hit the mark for me, like, you know, Asylum of the Daleks, retroactively, not great, but not terrible, really. I don't think. I know some would argue. Some would argue, but there's some really good stuff in there. It's very event television in that they made the public aware of Jenna Coleman's upcoming involvement with the show. Yeah. And then threw you a massive curveball, and you're like, wait, what? She's in it already? Yeah. What's happening? Wait, she's not real? What's happening? Dinosaurs in the Spaceship's fun. Bit muddled, but fun. Town Called Mercy. I really like Town Called Mercy. Really good. I really like Power of 3. It's a shitty ending notwithstanding. I really like Power of 3. And Angels Take Manhattan's pretty solid as well. So like that was the last time it was like, you know what, I enjoyed these 5 weeks. Mm-hmm. I don't have much problem with these 5 weeks for me. So it's like that. We've not quite hit the heights of Series 5 yet, I don't think. No.
I don't know. Maybe
a couple of episodes definitely belong in that category.
I put this mostly around season 5 quality.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I think I'm just reserving judgments. I've seen the season.
I think I've been generally.
It's weird. It's going to be going out while I'm in Panto. Yeah, that's never happened before. Yeah, that's really odd.
We've got 4 more. 10, isn't it?
10, yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got 4 more. Kablam this weekend and 3 more weeks.
Because the details for the finale came out this week, didn't it?
Yeah, it's very vague on purpose, but it says 9 separate distress calls for something. The Doctor friends have to investigate. It's like 9, like the 9 previous episodes.
Who knows?
In a series where everyone's pointed out how the antagonistic force or tied in alien interference has always left or escaped.
Anyway, continuing with this email. Have you heard about John Barrowman entering the jungle this year? Well, I have now. Would you usually watch I'm a Celebrity? Fuck no. If not,
I used to like comfort watch it. You know, you just sort of have it on in the evening while you were doing
There's nothing
stuff.
comforting about it for me.
Back when I was a teenager and my first year living in London and stuff, I was drawing a lot, like in the evenings still. So I just kind of have I'm Celeb on in the background, like, oh, go on. I stopped watching when I realised that I only recognised maybe one person a series. I was like, not fussed.
Of course, the next question is, if not, is Captain Jack enough to make you tune in?
No. But I will probably keep an eye on any stories that come out about it out of morbid curiosity.
Do you think that him entering the jungle during the Doctor Who series 11 period is pure coincidence? Yeah. I imagine that those deals would have been done in advance of the Doctor Who being announced, its final date's being announced. So
I don't know. I hear behind the scenes stories of shows like I'm a Celeb, the celebrity ones, where they sometimes don't get involved till the very last minute on purpose to keep secrecy going.
Maybe.
So the shows take a bit of a gamble in that respect.
Okay.
Plus, it's easier to make that snap decision. Hey, do you want to go away for like 3 weeks in a couple of weeks? Yeah, sure. Why not?
Maybe 3 weeks. Maybe 2 days.
Although I will say, from a presenter standpoint, I'm interested to see the Holly Willoughby and Declan Donnelly team. I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be fun.
Ducked out, hasn't it?
Yeah, but there's that element to me is a big reason to why I found it entertaining when I did watch.
Yeah.
It was the Ant and Dec wraparound stuff.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic feels. But
feels nice. This one comes in from Johnny Taylor. It says, "Hey up, Chris and Matt." This is from Johnny started up his Mastercast.
Oh yes,
which we talked about last week. I just thought I'd mention that your "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared" joke at the start of last week's show was very eerily timed, as I just watched all 6 of these odd works of art with a group of friends at college instead of doing work the day before. Excellent use of your time. I like it. Also, your approval of the name Mastercast was very much appreciated. It made my day and kept me in high spirits for the rest of the week until I heard the unfortunate news of Stan Lee's passing away, which I found absolutely devastating.
Yep.
In honour of Stan, I wonder what some of your favourite movie cameos of his from over the years are, and who would you cast to play him in the biopic about his life that absolutely needs to happen one day? All the best, Johnny Taylor. We talked about the cameos, didn't we?
I've thrown a couple of random ones that aren't Marvel related that I think are worth checking out. Just the cameos because they're so bizarre.
Yeah.
Most prolific and enjoyable one in terms of that, Mallrats.
Yeah.
I'd argue it's more than a cameo because it's 2 scenes.
Yes.
Opposite Jason Lee as Brody, and
that is definitely more than a cameo.
Jason Lee asks him if the thing's dick's made of rocks, and it's great. And Stan Lee sets him straight, and he's so good in it that when he tells the story, and he tells the story in it of the girl that he loved when he was younger and all this, and that he didn't pursue it, and he regrets it.
Yeah.
Apparently, after seeing it, Joni said to him, "Who are you talking about?" Because they were married 50 odd, 60 odd years. They knew each other. She was already in a relationship. She knew they had to be together. They really got on.
Yeah.
The morning she got divorced, she then booked the wedding, and they went and got married that afternoon because she wanted to make it official. They've been in love for years. She knew everything about him, so she was like, "Who the hell are you talking about? Who's this girl you were on about?" And he had to be like, "It's in the script. This was in Kevin's script." He's really good in it. It's a brilliant performance, and to the point where his wife was like, "Why didn't I know about this?" It's it was acting. I'm acting. It's oh god, thank you.
Excelsior.
But the other cameo is I wouldn't recommend watching the whole movie. Just look for the cameo. It makes no sense. It's batshit mental, and it's the Princess Diaries 2: A Royal Engagement.
Oh, God!
He plays, like, the king of somewhere, or, like, the prime minister of somewhere, and his line is just like, oog, 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 or something like that, because the idea is he's not speaking English at all, and he's trying to give, like, a flirty look to the Julie Andrews Queen character. It's hilarious, and it's like, why is he in this? Why is Stan Lee playing this character? There's no reason for it, and it's brilliant. It's a terrible movie, but Stan Lee cameo, so...
Who should
we have it if you want to borrow it.
No, I do not.
We have Princess Diaries: A Royal Engagement somewhere. I don't know why we've got it.
Who should play him in the biopic about his life that absolutely needs to happen one
Bryan
day?
Cranston. Set it in the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have to, because Cranston's in his late 50s now?
60s. He's in his 60s.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, because a couple of years ago on Kimmel, they had a big sketch of him celebrating his sweet 60th.
Oh, wow.
Cranston as 80 Stanley, and don't do a biopic per se, do a heightened fiction story about him, like, trying to save Marvel from bankruptcy or something like that.
The great thing is you don't need to go too young, because he was, like I say, he was 39 when he created Spider-Man. Yeah. So it was like, it was in his...
Actually, you know, enough.
Marvel was taking off.
Cranston, 60s through to modern day.
Yeah.
Just do it.
De-age him, and then...
He spent the majority of the 60s with a full beard. You can cover up some of Cranston's natural wrinkles with a full beard. Yeah. There you go.
Just smooth him out with CGI, like everyone does nowadays. Why not? Why not?
It's possible.
I don't know.
Or Gilbert Gottfried. Hello! I'm Stanley!
In my mind, Gilbert Gottfried always plays Stanley.
Excelsior!
Because I can't do a good Stanley.
But you do a great Gilbert Gottfried playing Stanley.
Jafar! Yeah. That's actually a really good shout. I'm just trying to think of
Tilda Swinton.
My head. Tilda Swinton. Yeah.
Gillian Anderson.
Definitely Gillian Anderson.
Actually, jokes aside, I would watch that.
Yeah,
I would watch Gillian Anderson play Stan Lee.
Do it like the Bob Geldof movie where a different actor plays him in every scene.
Yes! Oh, God, yeah. Yes! Oh, Christ, yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say...
But he's got to be played by all the principal cast members of the MCU.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of an actor who's tall and slender and can do that twinkly thing.
But then shrink in height over the course of the movie.
Left field shot.
Aye.
Paddy Considine?
I mean, I will say yes to him in anything. I don't doubt he could play Stan Lee. I think he could possibly do quite a good job. Andy Nyman.
The end is Nyman.
Ross Noble.
Ah!
Straight up, Ross Noble.
You'd have to cut his hair, though.
He can do amazing things with ball caps these days. But just something about...
the glee in him.
Yeah, that childlike energy. And the fact that when you do see him dip into drama, he's very good.
Well, most
comedians are. He could do that. He's got the face. I think he's definitely got the face for it. Get the mustache on him and the glasses.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's like, Stan's got that wonderful...
a very distinct profile.
Yeah. He's got the big grin and the moustache and nose.
And the hairline that just sort of comes down a little bit more on the right-hand side, his natural hairline.
And he does have those sharp features.
Yeah.
So you've got to go for something distinctive. But you don't want to cover... You want to get someone close, you don't have to cover them in prosthetics, so you can have that expression come through.
Alfred Yankovic. I'm just picking comedy people with distinct facial features and curly long hair now for some reason.
You're not necessarily wrong. That's one to think on, I think.
If you were going for a more light-hearted thing, instead of it being a biopic or more of a fantastical kind of story about the man,
yeah,
you could probably get away with, like, Weird Al, someone like that.
You could get away with Weird Al. But you could always get away with Weird Al, to be fair. Andy Samberg.
Yeah! Younger Stan. I know Andy Samberg's like 40 now.
He's
or whatever,
ridiculously old for how young he looks.
Yeah, but you could, like, you'd have to play to his face a bit, I think. You'd have to pick, like... You'd have to tell the story of, like, him and Joni and the beginning of Marvel.
Yeah. Which I think is the more interesting story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we know what happened next because we've all been living it.
Getting those creations off the ground.
Yeah.
Who would play Jack?
It's got to be someone who's probably the same age as him, but looks grizzled and grumpy as fuck. Because you ever see photos of Jack? He always looks really grumpy.
Andy Samberg as Stan Lee and Andy Serkis as Jack Kirby.
Serkis would be quite good as Kirby. Actually, Considine would be good as Jack Kirby.
Yeah, he would be.
Because you could bring that warmth, but he'd be quite sort of gruff.
And who do you want for Steve Ditko?
Steve was quite sort of slender in his frame, wasn't he? He's quite a slender face and everything. Stephen Merchant.
Stephen Merchant and Steve Ditko. All right, I'm with you there. I see.
Or Tony Hale. Tony Hale could actually probably pull that off.
Tony Hale could be a decent Steve Ditko.
Like, if you were going the lighter route. Like, Merchant could obviously do that, but if you were going the lighter route and you didn't want to distract with the casting, Tony Hale could probably do that quite nicely. With Joni, you'd have an interesting thing, because she's a Geordie. She was a Geordie, I believe.
Of course.
But she really did not have the accent, because she'd lived in America. When you watch an interview footage with her, she's terribly sort of received pronunciation and very strong English accent, like Queen's English. Oh. But because Stanley jokes with Craig Ferguson about her, she's from Newcastle. She's got the Geordie, I believe it is. And Craig starts talking to the accent. He's like, she doesn't sound quite like that, but that's very good. And it's like, that's quite funny. So you'd have to cast someone who could do that incredibly posh English voice, but slip in a bit of Geordie twang along the way.
Sheridan Smith.
I mean, Sheridan Smith is Stan Lee.
Why not?
Sheridan Smith in anything. Sheridan Smith in all the things.
Yeah, I'm down for that. Let's write it and pitch it and get it made. We can afford all that. This last one comes in from Jacob, and another tribute to Stan the Man Lee, another personal tribute. This one says, "Hi boys.
He owed me a tenner. Love, Jacob.
As you are obviously aware, Stan Lee is down at the ripe old age of 95. One of the people who was responsible for the MCU, and more besides, to be fair, and arguably the greatest modern storyteller / writer. Also the co-creator of my all-time favourite superhero, Spider-Man. Who? I can't think of a writer that's affected my life. More, except for maybe RTD. But this email isn't about him, so we can fuck off. I added that. Jacob didn't say that. That was me. More than standard.
RTD's available for comment. He says, "Marvelous."
I don't think it's properly hit me that he's gone. As you guys know by now, there aren't many situations that render me without words. But this is one of the times where I just don't know what to say. He's one of those 3 people who've inspired me to write my own stories. It's one of those situations where I knew he would leave us one day, but I never thought it would really happen.
Yeah.
You never really, or at least I don't, think that your heroes are going to die. But he lives on through us and his stories. Have a good week, cockers. Lots of love, Jacob.
Well, that's the thing. I'm trying to remember who said it. Someone once said... I don't mean some random. Like, someone once said, you die twice. When you leave this world...
And when you leave everyone's memories.
And when people stop saying your name.
Yeah.
I don't think Stan Lee then is ever going to die a second time.
No. People will always remember him.
This dude's legacy and the things he did is always going to live on.
As long as there are stories, as long as those stories endure, then his name will endure. Jack Kirby's, Steve Ditko's.
All the creators over the years that have been a part of this, and you know, Christ alive. Well, he's not though, because if he was, he'd be a guest.
So tell me, Christ.
Yeah. What's your favourite Stan Lee cameo?
Well,
Yoga Hoses, of course. You watched Yoga Hoses?
Yeah, we get all the movies up there.
Ever since Dogma, I've been following that guy's work. I like the one with the walrus. Right.
Thanks for listening, folks. As usual, at Big Downcast on the old Twitters, bigdowncontact@gmail.com. We weren't really going to get to many emails or anything over the next couple of weeks because, as we've said before, Chris is going to be away doing Panto.
So you might be listening to a pre-record, you might be listening to a new episode. It all depends on how things happen in the next couple of weeks.
We've got a couple of pre-records coming up, and other bits and pieces. We'll have some live episodes scattered in there. Well, some recorded episodes with the two of us in time.
You won't go a week without the Big Damn Cast.
You're always going to get your Big Damn Cast fix. Of course, head over to YouTube. You've got Adventures in Backlogging ongoing. You'll have a new Big Damn Love going up this weekend as well. Pika. And yeah, thanks for listening, folks. And this one's for you, Stan. Thanks, folks.
Excelsior.